Welcome to the Lexy Jai Show podcast.
Wicca. For spiritual gangsters who want a dose of the spiritual mixed with fun.
Like and subscribe so we can be best friends.
Nailed it. To another episode of the Lexy and Jai Show podcast.
Why do you have to say it so sultry like that? So, welcome to...
I think because part of me, I'm like, I know that it's going to be funny and I'm kind of preparing myself and I'm trying not to laugh while I'm doing the intro.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But thank you for your criticism. Okay, of course. What makes it constructive? Do I build on it next time?
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. All right.
Cool. So, what are we talking about?
Mermaids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, water elementals.
Yeah. So this is going to be a little bit weird conversation. Weird topic to talk about.
Why?
Because the specific circumstances that I've seen mermaids.
Mermaids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So.
I'm nervous.
No, you shouldn't be.
Okay. It's more the way you're delivering it.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
I need to tread lightly. So.
Okay.
When I've seen mermaids normally,
Mm-hmm.
right, they've been through astral traveling, and it's.
You've seen them in their dimensions.
Yeah, in their dimensions.
Right? Okay. Copy
that. Yeah. But then one time I did DMT. And that's why I was treading lightly.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. The
and
spirit molecule.
So
it's known as.
Yeah. So extra dimensional beings call it a technology.
Yes.
And we all produce DMT.
Mm-hmm.
It's just adding more of a T system and getting shot out of the stratosphere into a different dimension.
Yeah.
And that dimension had mermaids.
Yay.
So I got to literally be in a cove in Mintaka.
Yes.
The
water planet.
The water planet. With a mermaid who was literally right next to me telling me that everything is going to be okay. Because it was so confronting.
You just got the mermaid going, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, mermaid.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying over and over, are we good? Are we good? Am I okay? Like, am I stuck between dimensions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never done anything like that before.
No. It definitely, no, well, I mean, I've done DMT once before.
Yeah.
And I just straight away went to basically the Masters of Light, or like the council, and I hammered them with questions. Other people like, oh, you got shot. I had like Athena, I had an owl, I had like all these things, and they were going water, and I'm like, of course, water is the answer.
Yeah, but you go to those places all the time, even though not through DMT.
Yes, exactly.
And that just shows a different vibrational level between yourself and me, because there was a lot of fear for me. I was not literally, I was figuratively shitting my pants the whole time, because
you're freaking out.
I never. Yeah. And it wasn't because I've been astral traveling. I've seen all that sort of stuff, but
it's a different level of loss of control, though.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was so real. It was more real. I don't know how to explain it other than it was more real than this reality.
I completely agree.
But overlaps this reality.
Yes.
So you don't go anywhere because it's all here, right here.
Yeah.
And man, I could see like stars in the water, which was just so mental. When I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's Mintaka.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it was Mintaka, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a few weeks later that I did the astral traveling thing with you, the event that we did, the spiritual activation.
Oh yes, our full moon one.
Yeah, and we took everyone to Mintaka, and you said, oh, check out all the stars in the water. I'm like, oh my god, my mind is blown, because that's where I was. Yeah. It's just so real and visceral. But
definitely, I completely agree with you in the sense that, you know, even after like going up there, and actually the first thing I did when I got, because obviously yes, I do a lot of out of body stuff, probably more than I do in body stuff.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did notice with that DMT experience is as soon as I got there, I just started bawling my eyes out. Like apparently like, even like crying like physically. Like no, like that my soul, like I was crying and just saying like why did you send me back? And their first response was, Commander, you chose this. And I'm like, don't remember. But as soon as they said you chose this, like it's you're on the front, like they actually said to me, we know you're on the front line, like we understand. And I was like, yeah, right. And then after that I was fine. And then I just started asking them a whole bunch of questions and I'm like, all right. I came back and I was still I think actually I took some photos and I sent it to you as well, but just writing out pages and pages of stuff, like whether I had one whole page just in all light language. I had codes that were like, I say codes, guys, these were literally like little triangles and squares and like numbers. But like when I was writing it, I'm like, this makes total sense. And but it's crazy that it said the like water is the answer though, and then we're talking about mermaids, because it would have been probably, I think I mentioned the dream on this podcast actually. So this was ages later, aside from the fact that there's a couple of days where I'm looking at the world going, this isn't real.
Like, oh my God.
Like this isn't real. I'm not really here. Like I was driving the car going,
this world now just doesn't resonate with you anymore.
No.
Because there felt more real than here.
100%.
Like almost like this is a dream, like this reality.
Yeah.
And which made me think at the time, and still do, that none of this stuff matters. No. Like none of it.
No.
Like all those problems that you think you have. Like they're just problems that you might have in a dream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just not. Yeah, it does not feel real.
Yeah.
And I think that shift in perspective is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And life-changing. I can understand why a lot of people are like, oh my God, whether it's DMT or ayahuasca or, I say peyote, but like, all the listeners will know what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly, with the psilocybin. But one thing that was interesting though is that I've had that experience with with Athena, with the owl, with the water aspect of things. And I then also, it was weeks later, and then we had it on this podcast where I then had the dream about all of those dead mermaids. Remember? I spoke about that. Yeah. And then I found out through my meditation after it that, that was literally what had happened to Mintaka. So obviously showed up too late. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah,
it wasn't a very nice experience. But, and obviously I don't know if you remember, but I still remember Betty.
Oh yeah, Betty. That joke.
Yeah. Where was Betty? But one thing I have noticed is like with mermaids, I have found with a lot of the elementals, so whether it's mermaids, fairies, dragons, dryads, like your tree elementals, even with unicorns as well, they're so much closer energetically, like they resonate better energetically with Earth's frequency.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier to connect with them, to communicate with them through that nature aspect.
Yeah.
But I've only seen, this is where I sound crazy, I've only seen a mermaid in real life once. This, I know, you're like, what? And when I say real life, I still feel like, now I'm saying this, I don't feel like my consciousness was in the third dimension. I feel like it's overlapped, and then that's how I've seen it. But it sounds crazy when I say
I honestly, just to cut you off for a second, I honestly feel like that's what happens with everyone when they see mermaids.
Yep.
Is they're not actually seeing them, and
probably
the same with like Loch Ness Monster and stuff,
Yes, Nessie.
Like they're seeing them, but they're not seeing them in three-dimensional reality. Their awareness is just shifting.
Yes.
Because all the dimensions are overlapped. You think like 4, 5, 6 is just going up each dimension, but they're all here.
Exactly.
Now, one, it's just a different awareness.
It's just like an overlap.
Yeah, and that's and I think that's same about Bigfoot and all those sorts of things as well, you know.
Yeah. I'd agree with you that's what I'm saying. So when I go, oh, real life, it's like, well, actually I saw it still from the sixth dimension. It's just my awareness was there and I didn't realize. But water elementals, especially because, you know, you've also got selkies as well, which are kind of like the seals.
Okay.
So there's a few different ones.
Yeah.
But with mermaids, they're so much about divine feminine energy. And I'll find even with my mermaid cards, whether they're, you know, the oracle or tarot, all of them are always around emotions because of the water aspect.
Yeah.
Always emotions and relationships, navigating that energy and being softer in the approach. I actually struggle sometimes with that, with mermaid energy.
Really?
Yes. It can be so heavy and intense.
Yeah.
Well,
it was heavy for me at the time, for sure.
I'm just like, oh, and I kind of liken it to like you're diving deep, and I think I'm good like diving deep into my soul, but when it's like diving deep into certain emotional issues, like I don't know, I'm just kind of like, why do we need to? Yeah. It'll clear. Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably just like I'm an air elemental, so I kind of struggle with that a little bit. But I don't have a very high tolerance.
Yeah. So when you see a mermaid, what does it look like to you physically?
It literally looks like how they're depicted.
Does it look like a Little Mermaid in a cartoon?
Similar. Not as cartoonish, not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, similar. The like still the tail like with the scales and the
color.
Yeah, the colors can be different. Yeah, colors are different. I from my experience.
Same. Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. Like I've seen ones with like purple, like lilac skin, and then others with blue, green. Like and then others where it has been like that. Closer to the peachy color or like darker like brown kind of color, like a whole range of different colors. Yeah, probably similar to fish, really, like, you know, all the different colored fish that you could, like, it's similar. I've seen actually one with silver.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was in the Kingdom of the Mermaids. Yeah, down near like Atlantis and stuff. Yeah. It was had silver skin, and this really vibrant like violet purple, and like, you know, that iridescent kind of just on the tail, and it was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like normal hair though?
Some of them yes, some of them no.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them will actually have like almost. I've seen ones where like they almost have like gills or like things like on their face.
Yeah.
But then I've seen others that don't have that. I think it just depends on what they choose to present. Yeah. Because realistically, like, you know, in 6th dimension, 7th, once you go, like, you're at that point.
You're in essence a light body.
Exactly. Anyway. It's like your physical form, like, it can just be whatever the other person or, you know, other soul that's interacting perceives.
That's why I asked you the question, because I think there would probably be a lot of varying opinions on what mermaids might look like.
Yeah.
And I think it once again comes down to the individual's perception of it, because they are, as you say, they're light bodies in that dimension. So
like I've looked down at myself in like the 7th dimension, and like literally just like I can just form into whatever I want to create, whatever I want to be realistically. Like I've shifted into like, I've become like, you know, I've got a deer that's one of my animals. Like I can shift into that. You can shift into anything. It's, you know, connecting to people is interesting.
Yeah, that's cool though.
I'm like, I should just shift into a dragon to scare you one night.
Please don't. In fact, I did get scared by a dragon one night. I don't know if I told anyone this, but that time that you sent me that particular meditation, the journey to fifth dimension. Did that come from you?
Yes. Yeah, on Insight Timer.
On Insight Timer, yeah.
Guys, if you want it, hit me up. Yeah. It's amazing.
Have we spoke about this, Shane?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, so it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Especially because the sounds were a lot like what happens when you start a DMT experience.
Yes.
And
I think he's nailed that frequency.
And then this Chinese dragon came in. Like it was.
Oh, I do remember you telling me this. Yeah. Yes.
So it was going past my room and looks in and sees me there and then starts coming in and I'm like, what? I've got to open my eyes. It's just too much. Too much.
You're like, please leave me alone, dragon.
It's right there.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Actually one of the most profound spiritual, like I would still say that's definitely up there as one of the most profound spiritual experiences for me. Like going, and that what I found was that even though I go there and I do those things, that just brought on like way quicker and it was way more intense.
Yeah.
But mine was definitely when it was in like a meditation out of body experience, but Merlin actually showed up and he handed me 2 dragon eggs. I don't know if I've told you this.
No.
So I'm standing in this field, Merlin shows up in all his glory and he's like, hey Mels, what you got for me? He hands me these 2 dragon eggs, right? And one is like emerald green, gold, like completely ornate, like basically almost like how the scales you would think of a dragon would look. That's like the outside of the egg.
Yeah.
The other one he hands me is this like really vivid, like electric blue with silver and that kind of. So I've got one that's green, gold and a little bit of purple, and one that's a little bit of red, blue and silver. Anyway, I'm like, oh my God, I have 2 dragons. He looks to me and goes, no, one of them's for Shane. And my response, why don't you just give it to him then?
Yeah.
Like why do I have to hold on to it?
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for his dragon baby. Like, And I remember, and Shane would remember this, but I came out of it and that was just insane. Like I was like, holy shit, like these dragons are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
First of all, like, did Mel steal them from the hatchery? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I went to the Cabin of Dragons and they were just like, yeah, this is your dragon guide. They've chosen to be with you. And I was like, yeah, cool. Except this guy wants to be with Shane.
Yeah. Did he say which one to give to Shane?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So he didn't say now choose.
No, he said, no. The weird thing is he didn't say it. I just knew that the emerald green, I'm like, oh, this dragon is with me. and this one's Shane's. Yeah. So Shane's out in the cold. I'm joking. So what was with that though is that I had that amazing experience. 4 years. I completely forgot about it. Like to a certain extent, I was just like, oh yeah, that time I got dragon eggs. How cool was that?
Yeah.
Went back to go to meditation, and anyway, I ended up astral traveling and went into the cabin, and ended up at this place, and this dragon, the emerald green dragon's there, and she's like, finally. I was like, finally what? And she's like, I'm Celine. I'm your dragon guide. I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, remember? She's like, remember the egg? I'm like, oh, no way. And I said, I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, where's Shane's dragon? Yeah. Like, and she goes, oh yeah. And she goes, oh no, he'll find her. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, do I take him to her? And she's like, no, he'll find her when he's ready. I'm like, okay. And she was just chilling there with all these quartz, like all of these like amethyst, citrine, quartz, like so many crystals just sitting with her. And she's like, just sit with me. So I literally just sat under her wing and just chilled for like an hour.
Okay. Why was she there and not with you? Like she was waiting for you to pick her up like an Uber.
Yeah, I was like,
because aren't guides meant to be around you like all
this
all
is
the
the
time?
thing.
Why was she not there?
That's the thing. She's like, apparently she'd been guiding me or like giving, but energetically, it's just because I don't know. It's like whether I hadn't openly acknowledged her or something. I don't know, but I'm just like, well, why what do you mean finally?
Yeah.
But it was more finally you're like acknowledging me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a rough 4 years for you.
A lot on my plate.
But yeah, that was pretty insane.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's up there with one of my most. I've had a mermaid one with, because we were talking about mermaids, weren't we? What a mermaid. I've got a fairy guide.
Yeah.
Do you have a fairy guide?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, just looking behind you. I'm like, you're here somewhere, right? Yeah. Yeah, my fairy guide's called Trixie.
Yeah, okay.
But I called her Trixie. Her name's Titania.
Okay.
And I called her Trixie. But she's been with me since I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, since I was about, I don't know, 3 or 4, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's at me constantly. Like, out of all my guides, I joke about Merlin a lot, but fairy guides, for any of you who do have fairy guides, if you have things that go missing a lot and don't show up, and then you go back and they're exactly where you just looked,
yeah,
that's, you've probably most likely got either a fairy infestation or you got fairies. But you can relate, right?
Yeah,
like you have stuff go, yeah. But fairies obviously air elementals, and I've found connecting with like all the guides that I've got, fairies seem to be the best at giving you really quick, personal, detailed messages, because it's like air. They're so they're just like, oh, you need this information. Oh, this, like really fast and really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
The dryads that are earth elementals, little slower.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady brings a race. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. What else do you want to talk about?
I know, I was just thinking, light language. Just quick. Can we do that quickly?
Yeah.
All right. I get a lot of people ask me about light language and, you know, activation and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, but how do you do it? And this is going to be my response. When you tune into your soul and you go onto that higher frequency, it doesn't actually matter what languages you speak, because you understand anyway.
Yeah.
And when obviously then you're flowing with light language, I've actually been doing this with Shane, but it's like go into your higher frequency, and then you can feel that, like you can feel it build up from your heart. It's like you're going to communicate, and you actually will just start making sounds. Now, obviously, it's not going to be whale sounds like Tori. But I think the biggest thing with light codes or light language specifically is that people get caught up in their head on what it needs to sound like or what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like if you go into like the soul technique we spoke on the previous episode, you work on just tuning into your soul and just allow, like completely stepping back with your thinking mind, it just flows.
Yeah.
If you actually don't even really know, you could start even just like humming or whatever, like, and you'll start making noises that still communicate the feeling.
Which once again is a big, I don't know, I guess a block, if you call it that, for me, because I have so much control all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be able to try and relinquish that control.
But you know what's funny is that the more you relinquish, you actually get more in charge of you, like you feel more in charge than what you did. Like that control from your thinking mind is just so, it's kind of like a secretary. Like I think I've used this analogy with you, but it's like your soul's the CEO and your thinking mind's the secretary. And it's like, the secretary's like, I'm in charge. And it's like, yeah. Like, are you? So yeah, I have found that that's the biggest thing with people with their block. So is it exactly what you said. They don't want to give up control, and maybe sometimes it's connected to fear, but generally it's like, you know, what are you scared of letting go of?
Yeah, but a big part, I think, of this whole ascension process now, you know, this awakening to fourth or fifth density is getting out of your head for everyone.
Yeah.
There's going to be, like, it's happening now.
Definitely.
People are starting to feel more heart-centered and be more heart-centered, not realizing it.
No, it's definitely ramping up and being activated.
Yeah, but I feel like people are going to see, especially over the coming months, a real focus on that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be really interesting to see, because that's the future. Just completely getting out of your head.
Yeah.
And into your heart, and
all of those constructs,
and then trusting and seeing those synchronicities, and not just the triple numbers, but those people that are, you know, important people that come into your life for a specific thing, for whatever reason, and seeing that as it is.
I just have a quick little rant thing about Facebook for a moment to do with that. That is one thing that I don't actually like about social media, is that social media kind of encourages us to keep and maintain relationships that essentially, on a natural scale, dissolve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, still keeping the connection there. It's like that connection is not necessary.
Yeah.
But obviously, if I was to get on and go, not necessary, delete, like, remove these friends, remove friend, it just, you know what I mean? It's like this whole, they've attached this whole drama around it as well. It's like, you need to be connected.
Yeah.
It's like, you're connected with your soul, well, obviously all the time, and you connect into that one consciousness.
Yeah.
But you don't need to maintain individual connections with so many people constantly.
Yeah.
It's draining.
Yeah. I don't need to find out what Linda had for breakfast last Tuesday. I know it was cereal.
I'm curious. Oh. I was like, was it a smoothie? No. Yeah, so that's just my little rant about social media with connections.
Yeah.
Just
having said that, we're still a slave to the beast. That's how
I know, it's so annoying. Yes.
Go Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, I'm hoping that with now the download, we can just like then go into telepathic, you know, connections and just go, well, I've got this great program, I've got this great idea, like, I'll just send it out there on a broadcast frequency. Or,
yeah, well, I'm sure that's what it'll end up being.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to happen quicker than people realise.
Yeah, definitely. Exciting.
Yeah. All right, we got a bunch of stuff to do.
Short and sweet.
All right, we'll see you around for the next one.
Bye.